10. Fraser Island. Fraser Island in Australia is one of the most beautiful places in the world, but it's also one of the most dangerous. Like many places in Australia, there are terrifying land creatures, deadly marine life, and terrain that can kill. Fraser Island is home to about 30 packs of wild dingoes. And while being attacked by a dingo is extremely rare, it has happened in the past. And yes, dingoes really have eaten human babies. If you happen to be alone or in the wrong place at the wrong time, you could be on the losing end of a vicious dingo attack. It's recommended that you always stay in a group, make lots of noise, and don't provoke the wildlife. Fraser Island's beach is one of the worst in the world, partly due to the dingoes, but also because of the marine life. Great white sharks might bite your legs off, but there's also jellyfish and poisonous stingrays. The Australian box jellyfish is one of the most venomous marine animals in the world, with huge tentacles like bootstraps that can grow up to 10 feet, 3 meters long. There's also the irukandji jellyfish to worry about, a tiny thing that only grows to be about a cubic centimeter in size, but is so venomous that it can cause a fatal brain hemorrhage. Wildlife expert Rob Drew said the sting of an irukandji jellyfish is 100 times worse than being bitten by a cobra, and 1,000 times stronger than a tarantula bite. Finally, the worst thing about Fraser Island is that there are no medical facilities. If you get bit by a shark or stung by a jellyfish, there's nowhere nearby to get help. 9. The Thumb Splitters of Dewey Beach. Beaches all across Delaware, including Dewey Beach and Delaware Seashore State Park, are home to flocks of crawling mantis shrimp. Usually, shrimp don't pose a threat to humans, but mantis shrimp are not something you want to mess around with in the wild. These tiny crustaceans are sometimes called thumb splitters. And are highly aggressive, can injure a person, and even murder your pet. There's a few different species of the crustacean, but the one found in Delaware is the Atlantic mantis shrimp. This creature has a set of long claws and almost looks like an aquatic praying mantis. Its claws lash out in a quick slashing motion, and even though the mantis shrimp is small, its strike velocity is immense. Its powerful claws boast some of the fastest movements of any creature on our planet. It only takes about 8 milliseconds for the mantis shrimp to strike, or 50 times faster than you can blink. Getting hit by something so small yet so powerful can be damaging even for a human. Mantis shrimp punches typically cause deep wounds and bloody lacerations. Sometimes there's a loss of tissue, heavy bleeding, and bones can even be broken. The claws cut so deep, an ulcer sometimes forms and doesn't heal for at least 3 weeks. 8. GANSBAAI Beach. GANSBAAI Beach in South Africa is one of the most dangerous tourist destinations on the continent. This beach is mostly famous for 2 main reasons. It's an amazing location to watch whales, and guided tours take visitors out on boats to photograph the migrating sea creatures as they swim off the coast of Africa. It's also known to have one of the densest populations of great white sharks found anywhere in the world. Since 1995, this place has been a major destination for cage diving with great whites. Tourists visit South Africa to see the wildlife at Kruger National Park and to see the great white sharks at GANSBAAI Beach. As you can imagine, swimming in the same place with an extraordinarily high number of sharks can have its problems. And yet, not as many fatalities occur as one might expect. A 21-year-old local man was killed by a great white in January of 2004, but nothing else has been reported since then. However, the biggest incident that happened here came a very long time ago. On February 26, 1852, HMS Birkenhead struck a rock and sank off the coast of GANSBAAI. Most of the sailors survived the sinking, but they had a long way to go to reach the shore. As they swam desperately for their lives, most of them were picked off by sharks in the deep water and eaten. The one thing that's kept tourists safe all these years is that it's generally understood that you don't get in the water. The water here is treated like lava, and people know better than to take any chances. 7. Iceland's sneaker waves. On November 10, 2021, a young Chinese woman was swept away to her death at Reynisfjara Beach in Iceland. The tourist was apparently unaware of just how dangerous Iceland's beaches can be. The issue in Iceland is that their waves have a tendency to sneak up on you. If you're standing too close to the shore and not paying attention, what the locals call sneaker waves can creep up out of nowhere, grab you, and drag you back into the water. It's highly recommended to never turn your back on the water when at either Reynisfjara Beach or Kirkjufjara Beach. Sadly, the young Chinese woman in 2021 was not the only person to become the victim of Iceland's deadly beaches. On January 9, 2017, a German woman on vacation with her family suffered the same fate. She was snatched by a sneaker wave at Kirkjufjara Beach, like Poseidon had reached out and grabbed her, and the wave knocked her husband and children over as well. However, they narrowly escaped the undertow with their lives. Then, in 2007, the same thing happened to an elderly American woman who was washed out to sea. 6. Florida beaches. Following Hurricane Ian in 2022, health officials in Florida warned the public against swimming at any local beaches. The beaches in Florida, particularly in Lee County, went from places to rest and relax in the sun to potential death traps. The Department of Health issued an advisory warning against swimming at the beach because of dangerous bacteria, waterborne illnesses, and industrial chemicals. A short dip at the beach can now cause a person to become deathly ill. Residents were urged to avoid contact with all water. Any kind of floodwater, pool water, and anything from a river or lake was considered highly contaminated. The Department of Health said floodwater could contain traces of fecal matter from sewage systems and even septic tanks. The water could also be bubbling with agricultural and industrial waste. This is because the hurricane destroyed septic tanks, swimming pools were filled with brackish water, sewage treatment facilities were thrown offline, and much of that contaminated water drained into the ocean. The tide then brings all that bacteria-ridden water to the shore, where unsuspecting beachgoers could get extremely sick. The danger will go away with time, but for now, Florida beaches should be considered cesspools for festering disease and poisoned water. 5. Haunted Dumas Beach. Dumas Beach in India has a reputation for being the most haunted beach in the world, as well as being one of the most haunted places in India. The beach sand is black, which most people believe is what spawned the horror stories of cursed and dark magic attached to it. Some say centuries ago there were mass cremations done there, which blackened the sand with remains of human corpses. The dead are still part of the beach, and their spirits are said to guard the place. There are all kinds of urban legends attached to Dumas Beach. Some say if you visit the beach at night and you listen very closely, you can hear the cries and howls of tortured souls. There's another rumor that if you take pictures of the beach at night, strange objects will show up in them later. Anything from random spots of light to the hazy silhouettes of ghosts. There's no way to confirm if this beach really is a haven for lost souls, but what we do know is that the sand's color is black because of high iron and mineral content, not human ashes. Also, the beach is dangerous because of the nearby industrial facilities that have been pumping pollution into the waters for years. Local fishermen say the taste of their fish has been steadily declining, and so has the availability of marine life. People have also reported birds dropping dead from the sky because the whole area is so dangerously polluted. 4. Tsigrado Beach. Tsigrado Beach in Greece is one of the most isolated places you can visit. It's on the island of Milos, which began to form millions of years ago after a large volcanic eruption. Years of changing geography have created tall red cliffs, underwater caves, and secret beaches hidden in quiet grottos. Grotto is by far the most dangerous beach in Greece. It's within a secluded cove, has a small strip of white sand, and boasts crystal clear water, but is extremely difficult to reach. The only way to get there is down a long dirt road, and when the road stops, you come across a warning sign. The sign says to descend at your own risk, meaning once you get out of your car, your life is in your own hands. The only way from the top of the cliffs to the beach is by crawling down a rickety wooden ladder through a narrow passage in the rocks. It's extremely steep, and one wrong move could be fatal. It may not seem like a big deal until you've been cooking in the sun all day, you've had a few drinks, and you try to climb a flimsy ladder up a sheer rock wall. At the very least, falling off the ladder would likely result in an immediate trip to the emergency room. 3. The danger of Cipolite. Playa Cipolite is one of the only nude beaches in Mexico. However, it's also one of the best places to be dragged out to sea and suffocated under the powerful currents. The crazy thing about the beach here is that the currents travel in circular patterns. It may look normal standing on the shore, but the currents are swirling like whirlpools just beneath the surface. There are safe zones, but you wouldn't be able to recognize them by just standing in the sand. The truth is, if you wander out past your knees and enter the danger zone, you could be swept into a death spiral. Once you're trapped, the currents make it nearly impossible to get back to shore, as they can carry your body deeper out to sea. The currents are so powerful at the Cipolite beach that you can even be pulled out to sea in shallow water. You don't have to be in over your head to be carried off. If this does happen, the best way to escape is to swim parallel to the shore until you find your way out of the currents. 2. Ocean Beach. Ocean Beach in San Francisco is one of the deadliest places you can go in California. Not because of sharks or precarious ladders, but because of the dangerous riptides. Ocean Beach is set in a place where geographic conditions form some of the most perilous riptides in the state. It's not unheard of for multiple people to die in a single day when the riptides are especially bad. 3 people drowned on the same day because of the deadly tides. The supervisor of ocean rescue at Golden Gate, Doug Armstrong, says Ocean Beach has no protection for multi-directional swells. This means the beach is constantly battered by the waves and beaten by the tidal flow of the San Francisco Bay. This constant battering creates holes along the sandbar where the rip currents form. You can't see them because they're underwater, but the currents are there, and they're strong enough to pull even the strongest swimmer out to sea. Armstrong goes on to say that there isn't a single time when the riptides are settled, even if the ocean looks calm and peaceful. The best way to avoid becoming a victim of Ocean Beach is by only going knee-deep into the water. Some experts have even suggested swimming anywhere else to avoid a watery death. 1. Holes in the sand. In North Carolina, a small town on the Outer Banks issued a desperate plea to the public in May of 2022. They begged beachgoers to stop digging holes along the oceanfront. Only hours before a teenager died at the beach in New Jersey when a hole he had dug collapsed on him. The teen, only 18 years old, was playing with his sister when the accident happened. They were digging a huge hole on the beach together, but then the hole collapsed and the teen suffocated in a deadly avalanche of sand. Back in North Carolina, county officials with Kill Devil Hills begged the public to stop digging after they came across a gigantic pit on the beach that was nearly 7 feet, 2 meters deep. Holes like this can trap sea turtles, kill their babies, and fatally injure humans as well. Somebody walked into one of these holes at night in 2017 and broke their foot in 4 places. In 1999, a teenage girl was digging a similar hole when a wave crashed into it, covering the little girl in wet sand with no way to get out. The moral of the story is that sometimes the most dangerous things on the beach are man-made. Would you rather swim at a haunted beach or one infested with sharks? Let us know in the comments and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.